Welcome to Oinker's Pad. Today we're going to talk about food. Diet is really important for iguanas, and contrary to popular belief, iguanas just eat salad. They're vegasauruses, to take a line from Jurassic Park. Okay, something that's very important with iguanas is they have a very specific diet so that they don't get sick, and there's nothing worse than a sick iguana and huge vet bills. I'm starting off here with collard greens, which generally I just chop into fairly small, even-sized pieces. I have, on occasion, just put the entire leaf into Oinker's pad, and he'll just go to town and chew it up and be just a wild iguana, because that's what they do. Now you'll notice I'm taking out the stem or the main vein or whatever you want to call it, and I just do it pretty quickly. Ew, that one looks horrible. That color is not good. Generally I don't keep stuff like that. I don't even go there. There we go, that one looks pretty good. Out with the vein. Yuck. More yuck. One thing about iguana food is, or produce when you're feeding it to an iguana, is if there's rot, the rot creates more rot, I've found. So I just generally try to get it out of there. Oinker doesn't generally leave food in his bowl for much more than a few hours, so it doesn't really have time to rot. So he just chows it down. If there's just a little bit, I let it slide. He's also very picky, so if he doesn't want it, he won't eat it. There's been times I've put really good stuff, like beans and peas are really good for iguanas. I put that type of stuff in there. He literally just picks around it. He will not eat it. Even if I've diced it up into little tiny pieces, like smaller than individual peas. He loves carrots. And what I do with the carrots, again, is I cut them up. I keep a very sharp knife for cutting his food because iguanas don't eat meat. And I don't want to get any of my fingers, also known as meat, into his food. So I keep the knife really sharp so I don't have to press hard or saw at things, hack at things. I can just chop. Nice, quick, easy. Iguanas don't chew. They don't chew their food. They just swallow it whole. So a lot of the stuff I give to Oinker, I slice up. Every now and then, I'll bring out the Mandalorian, as I call it. And with the carrot, I'll go like this. This thing usually makes nice slices. Oops, gets away from me. These are the size of stuff he likes to eat. Now there are some really good websites out there that explain all the different things that foods do. I am not a veterinarian. I am not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. I don't know all the sciencey crap behind all this, but there are lists out there of what foods are good and what foods are not good. That is the more important list in my mind for iguanas. Oinks loves apples. A lot of places say to peel them. I don't peel them because I figure out in the wild they're going to find an apple on the ground and they're just going to chow down on that sucker. Again, slice it up pretty small for him. I do not, however, give him the core. I know in the wild that if they come across an apple, they would eat around the core, but I don't want to take the chance. He is very curious. Iguanas in general are very curious, and they try to eat everything. You don't want them eating everything. Apple seeds have cyanide in them. You don't want that in your iguana. Cyanide is a poison. Again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. I will say that a number of times. I'm just an enthusiast. I've done a lot of research. I've found some really good websites that I will put down in the description that I use for my information. I just know that sometimes it's a pain to dig through and hunt through and find good, reliable information. So right now he's got a mixture of collard greens, which are really a staple food. He's got apple, which is pretty good for them. Carrots, another good food. I'm going to try some other things that are really good for him. Snap peas and beans, I've mentioned those. What I do with those, I take the kind of icky stuff off the end. Bye-bye. I dice them up really tiny like this so that hopefully he doesn't pick them out and he eats his veggies, because his veggies are what keep him alive. But I found he's kind of like a 3-year-old when it comes to getting food down. If he doesn't like it, he'll just pick around it and not eat it. I bet you I come back in a few hours and those little tiny pieces of peas that I just put in there are still in the bowl. One thing he loves, green pepper. He will just eat green pepper all day. This stuff will be gone. I like to put the pepper in last because of the juice. I like the juice in there because hopefully it drips onto the stuff that's really, really good for him and he eats it. He seems to really like the taste of pepper, so there's that. Now, there are certain fruits that iguanas eat. Oinker really loves blackberries, although they're not super great. He also loves strawberries. I've got strawberries right here. Yes, some of these are pre-sliced. He'll eat these big chunks just the way they are. He can mush them down. He doesn't really chew. He more mushes and tears. So I tend to chop them down into smaller bits for him. I mean, you don't take a whole steak and put a whole steak in your mouth at one time. That's just weird. So there we go. Oinker gets a little salad. Good chance he'll eat all that. Again, I'll put links down below to the websites that I found useful. There are tons of websites out there that have great information. Unfortunately, the one I found probably the absolute best, and I found it years and years ago, and it's not online anymore, is the greeniguanasociety.org. They had a great food chart, which I'm going to see if I can somehow put online. It had a list of what foods are good, why they're good, what foods are bad. Again, it's very important to know what foods are bad because you don't want a sick iguana. I'm sure your iguana doesn't want to be sick either. So here we go. We've got iguana salad. Don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Oinker's Pad.